Well, the prodigal son returns. That's probably what the buzz is in the Tata Group today, because the decision has been made, and Deepam and the Civil Aviation Ministry have announced that Tata Sons have won the bid for Air India today. Joining me is Union Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Jyotiraditya Scindia. So thank you so much for speaking to India today. Your first comments after 68 years. Finally, Air India goes back to Tata Sons, and this was a very long, drawn-out process since the time the cabinet decided and gave in-principle approval in 2017 to today. Everyone talked about divestment since the late 1990s, and finally, it's happening in 2021, sir.
It has been a very long process. It has been a very, very long journey for Air India. It is the culmination of a long-awaited process. I wish the new owners all success in regaining the place in customers' hearts. I'm very confident that under the new ownership, not only is there deep pockets to be able to sustain the airline, but also a service proposition that will certainly have a place in the hearts of customers going forward. For the government and for all of us in government, it has been certainly a very long process.
Right.
It is also the fact that Air India was making a loss of almost 20 crores a day, which is close to 7,200 crores a year. And that money could have been used, the taxpayers' money could have been used by the exchequer in many more efficient ways for many more important projects. I think in many ways it's a parting of ways, but at the same time, I'm very confident that the new owners will continue with their value proposition for customers in the days to come.
Right, sir. So this is probably the biggest sort of strategic deal which has been struck by the government in the past 7 years, a lock, stock and barrel privatization of a CPSE. How do you see it, sir? Does this set the template, would you say, for future propositions?
Well, I think that's the only way that it works. I think once you have decided that we have to part ways, then it has to be a full parting. Never does a part transaction really works in history of the privatization process. So I'm very glad that our hard work has actually resulted in a logical outcome. It has also been a logical outcome for government because that capital now comes to the exchequer. Also, do remember that the ongoing business has been hived off. All the non-core assets still reside in the SPV, which again has a tremendous amount of intrinsic value going forward. So there are liabilities as well as assets that still reside in the SPV.
Right. So as far as
all in all, I think it's a win-win situation for both sectors. And most importantly, as a Minister of Civil Aviation, it's a win-win scenario for the civil aviation sector in India, which I think needs to rise to new heights after a very, very, very difficult period in the last 2 years due to COVID.
Right. So as far as the reserve price is concerned, the fact that Tata's bid at 18,000 crores, Mr. Ajay Singh bid at about 15,000 crore, but the reserve price stood at 12,906 crores. Do you think it was a little low when you look at it in hindsight?
Not at all, because if you look at the scientific process by which we came up with the reserve price, there are 4 ways of valuing assets. 3 are on a business valuation model, which is your DCF, your comparable transaction analysis, and the other is on an asset valuation basis. So we've taken among the 4, the ones that apply to us. The comparable analysis really didn't apply to us because we were a loss-making airline and not a profit-making one. The balance sheet system also didn't apply to us because that looks at book value rather than market value of assets. And therefore, we looked at the DCF analysis and the asset valuation model. And for the subsidiaries, we looked at a transactional comparable analysis also, because those were the other two companies were making a marginal profit. And then we did an 80-20 combination between the two and came up with a reserve price of 12,906. So it is a very scientific, professional way of valuing companies. Having had a little bit of background in investment banking myself, it's a process that is a very well-reasoned, thorough process, which is used worldwide. And I'm glad to see that the reserve prices were much more optimistic. The bid prices were much more optimistic than the reserve price, and that portends well for the process.
But do you think you could have got a better price if this entire process, the fact that, initially it was, we're not going to sell off the whole 100% ownership that we have.
But Paulomi, you and I can sit here till you and I can sit here till the next 3 decades talking about what if situations. What if scenarios are not something that we can deal with. There are always what if scenarios. But the fact is that the painstaking process that the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Civil Aviation has gone through, along with DPAM, which has resulted in a very, very positive outcome, an outcome that is appreciated by the 130 crore citizens across the length and breadth of this country. I think it's a positive day for civil aviation. It's a positive day for the customers, and it heralds a new future for civil aviation in the days to come.
Right. Also, just my question about, you think you've also done enough to secure, the employees and their concerns?
Completely. If you look at the clauses that we've looked at, all interests of employees have been absolutely safeguarded, right from their medical insurance to their residence over the next 6 months, to the fact that their jobs are secure for a certain period of time over the next 1 to 3 years, from the winning bidder not being able to divest the brand for a certain period of time. I think it's about 5 years. I think all those safeguards have been put in place. So we've done the best possible in terms of laying out the groundwork, and based on which competitive bids have come in, and the best bidder has won. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
All right, Mr. Scindia, thank you so much for the time that you have spared for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.